so they're not always out. Keepers work with them a lot. But this is part of our Rhino Rescue Center, and we are studying reproduction in southern white rhinos in the hopes of using them as surrogate mothers for northern white rhinos. Now we're trying to do this because there are only 3 northern white rhinos left in the world. There's one male, he's past breeding age. There's no chance of a new baby being born out there. So we're trying to do what we can here at the park to save that species. And never fear, I did not tease you with rhinos. To the left-hand side, there are 2 at the back of the pond. The left-hand rhino is Chuck. He is a 48-year-old southern white rhino. And his buddy, who's walking away from us, is Eric, a 7-year-old East African black rhino. Now, even from here, take a look at their faces. What's going to stick out most? Not only the horns, but the ears on top of their head. Rhinos have very poor eyesight. Their eyes are very small. So they rely on their hearing like 2 giant satellite dishes on either side of their head to alert them of danger. Now these boys are roughly 4,000 to 5,000 pounds. They're about the size of a minivan. You might start to wonder what on earth is scary for a rhino. Unfortunately, it's us. Rhinos are hunted for those horns on top of their head. Some people believe rhino horn is medicine. It's really not. You can all touch a rhino horn right this second. Touch your hair or your fingernail. It is the exact same thing. It's keratin. So we're really trying to put the word out there that rhino horn looks so much better on Chuck, Eric, and all of their friends. And that's where we wanted to stay. Now this is just one end of the enclosure. From here you do get a sense of just how much space we have for these animals. And that is all thanks to our founder, Dr. Charles Schroeder, because he was the one with the vision for this valley. He could imagine the areas where the antelope, rhinos, giraffes, and even the birds interacted with one another. Coming up to the left is one of those birds. Walking towards that pair of palm trees is a female ostrich. Now ostrich may be flightless birds, they're not defenseless. She has long legs, helps her run quite quickly. She also has sharp talons at the ends of her toes. You do not want to be on the receiving side of an angry ostrich kick. Would not work out well for you. She also believes she's about 3 times larger than she actually is. So, very confident bird. She likes to fluff up her feathers and try and intimidate some of the other antelope when she believes it's her turn to investigate the feed trough. It does work with some of the antelope. I've actually seen her startle some of them. It doesn't always work with some of the larger ones though, but she tries. Now sometimes we can sort of predict where our animals will hang out, other times it's a complete surprise. That surprise is usually to our right hand side. Most of the animals right now are on the forward slope in front of us. So underneath the pine trees you might find a few zebra. Those are the main inhabitants of this yard. So Garvey zebra live here. But there are also a few visitors now and again, because this does double as the bachelor yard. So we've got some Defasa waterbuck, which are the shaggy brown ones. There are a few Gemsbok in here. Both species we'll talk about a little bit more in depth later on because we will pass their herds. But this is sort of the bachelor yard where the adult males and herds are friendly enough to bird and male hang out. Now benefiting all of our mammals and even all the other birds out there are the birds over to the right hand side. Behind all the big rocks in the center are the western Rappel's vultures. Now I know they may not be the prettiest birds in the world, but they have a very important job. They're the built-in healthcare system. They can eat all the gross leftovers that have the germs, the bugs, and they can break it down. It does not harm them. So they are helping prevent the spread of disease to all the other animals.
Yeah, look, there are some birds.
Right now.
Which is great news, whether you are the size of a minivan like Chuck and Eric are, or maybe you're a little bit smaller, like the antelope out there with them. So not quite as close to the pond, but there are some shaggy brown ones between the 2 large circles of rocks. They are Ellipsin waterbuck. Like their name suggests, they do enjoy the water. Their coat's very oily, water repellent, keeps them nice and dry as they swim away from danger. And they live in a similar habitat as the rich chocolate brown ones close to us. These are the sable antelope. Now it's very lush, very green out where they live. So the sables get to do something none of these other species do. They are territorial. So they all work as a family unit to kick out any other sables in the area that may be trying to muscle in on their food or water sources. Now that is something the animals out there on the open plains really cannot do. There's not enough food concentrated in one spot for them to even want to be territorial. It's not worth their time. So those small ones in the grass, tan on top, white on their belly, that's one of those species you'll find on the open plains. They are South African springboks. Just a little miniature version of the Grant's gazelle we saw at the beginning of the tour. And right now we sort of have the large and small of it in terms of antelope, because we've got the fairly small springbok and then the very large behind them. So the tan animals are the Patterson elands. They are the largest antelope species. They're also very adaptable, which means they're found in a lot of different habitats. Basically, if you're out on the open plains, you find an eland. Looks like they're a little bit on the move right now. It's been a little bit of a weird day in terms of activity. Been a bit surprised at times. You think you know what you're going to see, and then, of course, the animals are going to throw you off your game completely. But that's what keeps this fun. Now I'm going to preface what's coming up next, because once we arrive, I'm not going to talk too much. But we're going to come up to a mom and baby giraffe. The giraffe baby is named Tamaza. She is about 3 weeks old. And we've been asked not to talk too much by them and not to pause too long because they're still acclimating. I can't guarantee you will see baby Tamaza because she does like to hide up against the wall and close to the buildings. So they'll be in the smaller structure here. And let's see what happens. I'm going to sort of go quiet now.
Yes, that's a baby. That's a baby giraffe. You can see it, Ashish. Baby, stand up and see if you want.
Yeah, baby giraffe.
Here, the baby is there.
3 weeks time, the baby for him.
So again, that was little baby Tamaza, and I dare you to find a cuter face out there in our enclosure right now. She is absolutely precious. Looks like we have competition going on between two of our giraffes. It's one of the younger ones making the other one that just stood up. Alright. Hierarchies in all of these groupings.
Why don't be like that?
So the young ones are going to figure out how to compete, test the boundaries with the older ones. Now hanging out near the giraffes are the gemsbok. They are sub-Saharan desert dwellers, very harsh, very dry environment. So those long horns on their head they use to spar or wrestle with each other, but they're also a handy tool, helping them dig up roots and other vegetation that may be retaining moisture. It's a way to get your water without venturing down to the watering hole, which is where the predators are known to hang out as well.
Oh, see.
So this is like a breeding ground where they actually, animals that are going extinct, they actually bring them here and they create a habitat that they love.
Now we are going to leave behind our large enclosure for just a little bit. We'll head up this hill and see who we can find in two other areas. Now the first species we'll catch a glimpse of at the very base of the valley. They're hiding underneath the trees. They are greater kudu, or forest-loving animals with big ears to alert them of danger. We also have a few of the adults of one of our larger herds. So the feature out there, that's a roan antelope. The rest of the herd will be more visible up at the very top as we continue on our way. Looks like they have gone off to forage while the rest of the herd is resting in their favorite spot. And ranging in the grasses around them, smaller, more orangish brown, they are Ugandan cob. Now, believe it or not, when the cob lay down, they are invisible. They do not exist. They camouflage perfectly, and that is because these animals do not see color the way we do. They see the world in shades of gray. So reds up against greens, you disappear, you plug right in. Up at the top of the hill, we do get a gorgeous view of the valley down below us. And we also have another example of that red camouflage color with some animals to our right-hand side. Walking away from the first tree, there are two female red leshway. Now all of the animals in the enclosure to the right hand side either have red in their name or red in their fur because they are all forest dwellers. Nodding to that camouflage coloration. So we've got red Leshway. I'm looking to see if I can find any of the red-fronted gazelles. They're a little bit smaller than the Leshway. Maybe one or two hiding underneath some trees. There's also a few more birds out here. We've got some pink-backed pelicans swimming in the pond. They share the island in the middle of the pond with two dark gray feathered birds. They are West African crowned cranes. They're your insectivores, the bug eaters. So like your handy pest control for all the other animals. Also neat fact about the crowned cranes, they mate for life, which is not really something you find out in the animal world. But these two have been together for quite a while now. Now we are going to pause one more time with our roan antelope herd because there are 5 babies that I want to try and find. Oh, and they're actually making it easy for us today because several of them are actually standing up. So the smallest ones in the herd. 5 new additions. Now babies of this species do stick together. They form what's called a creche, which is just a fancy term for daycare. So all the babies stay in one spot. There's always 1 or 2 adults around at any given time to keep an eye on them. Make sure no one wanders too far away. Gets in any trouble. Now it looks like some of the adults might have noticed something down the slope. I've got at least 3 to 4 sets of eyes staring straight ahead. They're not moving, very intent. Until they figure out what it is, they're going to stare at it. Decide, do I need to run? Do I need to stay? Am I okay? Fight or flight? Now as we go through this section, I do want to bring up the right hand. There's only about 10% of this habitat remaining. So what we have here in the park is roughly 800 acres we will never develop. It will act as a natural reserve for the wildlife here in our own backyard. Other preservation locally but globally as well, because habitat loss is the main threat to many of the species you see here today. They're simply running out of room. So preserving their natural home is equally as important as preserving each individual species. Now this next species is not in the best location to see them, but I do want to talk about them. So sort of in front of us, the large black animals in the green grasses down here, they are Cape buffalo. They are among the top 3 most dangerous animals in Africa. Adults weigh close to 2,000 pounds. They defend their own. They're one of the few species that can take on a lion and other large predator and chased away from all of their friends. Now they're advertising their aggression to you with their entire body because black is a threat color in the animal world. It stands out. Remember, they see in shades of gray. So they're a nice large neon sign if you really don't want to mess with me.
அதை மடிச்சு வை அதை வாங்கி போட்டு
And we are back with our Patterson's eland herd, which is just slowly progressing out of the valley, continuing on their move. Like this, typically, eland are out in the trees. Probably usually resting by now. But again, I said it's been a little bit of an odd day. The keepers have been out. They sort of stirred up the animals a little bit. They're a little off their game, off their routine today. But there are 3 very different species coming up to our right-hand side. I'm going to start with the white ones. They are scimitar horned oryx. and they lived out in the Sahara Desert. Now I say that in past tense because they were hunted to extinction in the wild, but thanks to populations here at the park and in other facilities, those numbers have increased. We've had over 600 of them born here at the park alone, and we've started to reintroduce them into the wilds of Tunisia in the last year or so. So they're one of our success stories. Now, I will come back to the large ones in just a moment because behind this first large one, there are some brown animals back there. They're Barbary red deer. They're the only deer species found in Africa. Everything else is an antelope, no matter how much it looks like a deer, I promise. But of course then, the far more obvious animals, those large cattle. These are Ankole cattle, and they are a domesticated species. They're kept as a status symbol in Uganda, so the larger your herd, the longer the horns on their head, the more status you have. Distance across can get up to 6 feet, or the length of the benches you're all sitting on right now for some perspective. So if you can imagine carrying that bench on your head all day, that's what these animals do. Now here at the park, we are not trying to increase the size of their horns, so over generations, and it will take many, but over time, those horns will decrease in size, become a little bit more manageable for them, so that when they walk, they do not have to tilt their head from side to side as some of them do right now. Say thank you to everyone on board the Tram today, because we could not do what we do here at the park without your support. We are a completely not-for-profit organization, so just by being here, you truly are a hero for wildlife, supporting conservation efforts locally as well as globally through San Diego Zoo Global in over 80 different countries. And you're also having a direct impact on the lives of the animals you see here today. You're helping us take care of them. So thank you so much for coming out and spending your day here with us. As we head into our afternoon here at the park, I do have to make you aware of my personal favorite event that takes place every day. At 3:30, on the other side of Lion Camp, that green stretch of grass you notice as you walk down here, is where Cheetah Run takes place every day. So if you want to see one of our cheetah ambassadors do what it does best, sprinting, potentially full speed down a track after one of its favorite toys, I highly recommend you check that out. But this will bring us back around to where we started our tour. So we'll see who's still hanging out with us in our large enclosure. Always a possibility someone new has shown up to say hello. What do you have? Now on that tour is a nice opportunity to get a look at one of the fabulous advantages that giraffes have to help them feed. Their very long tongue. If you want an idea of just how long a giraffe's tongue is, look at your own forearm. From the tops of your fingers to your elbow is roughly the length of a giraffe's tongue. It is also prehensile, which means it can wrap around those branches, rip off all those leaves very easily. Oh, wow. Just have our main family here, just hanging out. If you go behind the caravan safari that's feeding one of the juvenile giraffes, continue up into the shade of that tree. There are actually 2 southern white rhinos resting up there. It's a mom and baby pair. It's mom Casey and baby Kianga. Kianga is 2 years old now. And out in the wild, that'd be the point where she starts to sort of break away from mom. Although really, baby rhinos will stay with mom until she has another baby, and gestation period for a rhino is, I think it's 19 months. Southern white rhinos are also fairly social animals. They form what's called a crash, and it can be made up of aunts, sisters, daughters, siblings.
Not very far. The water.
Say hi.
Now we're
Hi.
going to take
Hi. Yeah,
We're
guys
still
are
here
enjoying
fun,
the
go off. I
safari.
encourage you to continue to learn about all of
Boring.
these plants. The more we know, the better able we are to
Lion, no tiger.
and spread that knowledge to others and have more of an impact. So I hope that by coming out to the park today, first of all, you have enjoyed yourselves, enjoyed the tour. Secondly, you've learned a little something you maybe didn't know before.
Bad choice.
ஒண்ணுமே lion கிட்ட
No lion, no tiger. Only